Hello and welcome to Azur Lane Meta. It is actually really late here, but today I got myself some access to some really cool information, a data mine from the Chinese server, so I'd like to share that with you guys. Welcome back, you guys. It's pretty late here, but I did get some data about the Skybound Oratorio event that came out in China just today. So, as you know, in English, we had an update that included having the rerun of the Jeanne Bart event, where you can get Massachusetts, Jeanne Bart. Le Moline came in, so that's really cool. And the other French ship as well, the new one that happens only in the rerun. You guys know what I'm talking about. But after this, we're going to be coming back on the schedule with the Chinese and the Japanese events, and they dropped a new French event, and oh my gosh, is it hot. So I'm going to go over the data mine, what some of these ships do for you guys who are interested, and get you prepared for saving your cubes for this event. There's also a wishing well and the rerun of Jeanne Bart, but man oh man, do I want to save some cubes for these ships. So let's get into it. Before I start, let me just put out a disclaimer that I am going to absolutely butcher these French names. I apologize in advance. If you still want to hate me in the comments, go ahead, but they are going to be terrible. I acknowledge that. So let's start with the first French ship. We're going to start from the top and go down to the bottom. Start with the big banger, the battleship Richelieu. She is an SR and from the Free French faction. And oh my gosh, this ship is amazing. She is basically Nagato levels. Actually better. She's got more HP. She's got more firepower. She's heavy armor, which is the same. She's got more anti-air. She's got more evasion. I think she has she has a lower accuracy stat here. But look at those efficiencies. 160% on that main gun. 200% on those auxiliary guns. Fantastic. Let's go look at the skills. I am comparing her to Nagato for a reason, and my oh my, look at this initial skill. When she's the flagship, all of your French ships, both the Vichy France and the Free French, are going to receive a 15% boost to pretty much all the relevant stats: firepower, torpedo, hit/accuracy, and reload. If they are a Free French ship, they're going to get a 6% increase to the damage dealt, and if they are a Vichy France ship, they're going to get 6% less damage. This is absolutely an amazing skill and basically makes France a viable faction just in its alone. So what else do we have? Well, we have a barrage. Great. So there's a 75% chance that we proc a barrage. I'm going to be showing that barrage right now. This barrage looks pretty cool, honestly. It's got those Free France colors. But one of the really neat parts about this barrage is when it hits something, there's a 70% chance that it will cause burning, which in of itself is good. But on top of that, the enemy that is burning for 30 seconds is going to decrease their stats. So it's a debuff as well. And if that wasn't enough, we actually get a third skill. When it's equipped with an HE main gun, which is pretty good, we get to increase the main gun damage by 12%, and then it also has a manual buff giving 100% crit rate, or 100% crit chance when you manually aim the first fire. So that's a PvP oriented skill, but that first part of that skill is still pretty good for PvP as well. This ship is absolutely amazing. It's the banner must-get ship. If you ever want to play any French faction, you need this ship. And depending on what other ships come in this data mine, I have not looked at them yet. Depending on what those ships are, this ship potentially will be a new Nagato. Like, the French faction could absolutely be amazing depending on what ships support her. But this ship is fantastic. All right, let's move on with the rest of the SR ships. So next is the light cruiser Jeanne d'Arc from the Free French. And this ship, stat-wise, is just not very good. It's like mediocre stats. Efficiencies are blah. It's a light armor. So hopefully the skills make up for it. Damage dealt towards HMS ships is increased by 10%. Well, that's an interesting skill. It's kind of like King George V. That's that is meant to deal damage to Axis powers or any of the Chinese ships that get advantages towards the Japanese ships. This is towards the HMS ships or the British ships. So that's kind of neat because, well, British ships are becoming more useful now. So what happens here? When entering battle, burn self for 30 seconds, dealing 8 damage every 3 seconds? What? Okay, that's weird. 10% chance to refresh upon taking damage. So I assume that means that you're refreshing your own burning of yourself. That seems really bad. This reminds me of that Izuma skill, or Zumo skill, where you're just like, why am I putting this negative skill? Okay, increase firepower, torpedo, AA, and evasion by 20% while it's burning. I guess that's decent, but it's like your low stats already, so this just makes up you to have normal SR stats, and then you have to burn yourself? I guess it's kind of funny that Jeanne d'Arc is named after Joan of Arc, who was burned at the stake, so this is kind of like self-burn. I don't know if that's actually intended, but kind of funny? Maybe not. I have a weird sense of humor. All right, moving on. 10 seconds after the battle starts, and every 20 seconds after that, give all Vanguard ships a shield each. Well, that's interesting. So this is a guaranteed shield proc for every Vanguard ship. That's good. Shields block damage equal to 6% of Jeanne's max HP, which is not very high, but it's all right. The shields last for 8 seconds. If the shield breaks before the duration expires, you get 2 seconds of immunity. This is fantastic, actually. So if you're getting a lot of damage coming at you, then you get immunity. This is great for PvE. PvP shields are not very good because the battleship shells will just lop over them. The aviation will lop over them. Torpedoes don't care. But whatever. If the shield expires without breaking, you get to heal for 70 HP, which is nothing. It might as well not be anything, really. It's pretty minuscule. But the point is, this skill could be really good. That first skill is really weird. Probably don't really want it. So let's move on to the last French SR ship. And oh my gosh, the birds are waking up. Okay, anyway, this is a heavy cruiser that goes by the name of Algerie. She's got medium armor. Her stats are pretty decent. They remind me of like a decent PR heavy cruiser. So on par, we have good stats. Holy crap, that torpedo efficiency. 175%. That is insane. So she will be dropping some mad torpedoes. That torpedo stat's not very good. I guess from this information, I don't know if she has preloaded torpedoes or a double preloaded torpedo. If she has a double preloaded torpedo, that'd be awesome. If she doesn't have any preloaded torpedoes, well, that's gonna hurt. But anyway, the point is, let's go look at these skills. Okay, deal 15% more damage when ships are burning. Well, that's pretty good, especially if you're playing in a French ship where you're gonna have that burn barrage from Richelieu. 20 seconds after the battle starts, fire a barrage that causes burning. Well, that just helps proc the earlier skill. When firing the main gun, we have a 70% chance to fire this barrage. Holy crap. 10-second cooldown between the triggers, but basically this is going to be pretty likely that you're going to be firing this barrage that, from what I read here, is a instant burn, which then you deal 15% more damage. This is like an upgraded version of the really boring St. Louis skill or even Belfast. So that's really nice. Let's move on to skill number 2. Gains a shield for 20 seconds on the start of the battle and every 30 seconds after. Guaranteed shield again. Okay, let's see what it does. Oh, it blocks torpedoes. 5 torpedoes. That's really good. That's upgrading Oratorio on her skill. If the shield's not broken, she boosts her own firepower by 15%. Well, that's really nice. Yeah, that's actually just really nice. And then 12% extra damage dealt to destroyers and battleships. That's an interesting typing that we have here, but 12% extra damage dealt at the end of all modifiers is nothing to scoff at. That's great. After auto mode has been off for 5 seconds, gain 15% evasion and 8 speed. It's lost when entering auto mode. Well, that's a really fun little mechanic. I like it. I mean, it's not anything for something I'm going to use in PvP, but it benefits all those manual players. I like it. It's kind of fun. All right, that brings up all of the SR ships. So let's quickly run through the elite ships because, yeah, I mean, all of the elite ships are going to have stats that are pretty pitiful, so I don't have to really say that. At least pitiful for min-maxing. So instead of going through all of that, I'm just going to say, let's go look and see if we see any outstanding skills, like something like Casablanca that takes a ship that would otherwise be terrible and makes them amazing. So let's go look at the skills. So first up is the Vichy French light cruiser La Gaslinier. We're just going to try with that. So ironically, after I said that, I look at these stats, and these stats are actually better than the SR stats of Jeanne d'Arc. So whatever. That was just too ironic. Okay, let's look at this first skill. Damage taken from CL or DD gun damage is reduced by 15%. That's like, in PvP, you're not going to be taking that much damage from those types of guns, really that much. I guess they could help against some of those auxiliary guns. It's not that great, but it is damage taken. So 15%, once again, is nothing to scoff at. Just the damage typing is not something that's going to be dealing you a ton of damage. You really got to worry about aircraft and salvos from battleships. Okay, moving on. If the Vanguard has only CLs and CA ships, you increase the self speed by 4, that's pointless, and evasion by 15%. So basically, if you have all cruisers, her speed goes up to 35, which is not helpful because you're having cruisers that probably don't even have that fast anyway, so it's not even a limiting factor. So it's useless. The evasion's nice for a light cruiser, definitely a 15% evasion, but it is evasion, not evasion rate. Okay, moving on, we get a firepower and torpedo boost of 8%. That just looks passive. No, after 5 main gun attacks. Okay, I can't tell based on the current wording if you get the passive skill right off the bat or if you get it after 5 attacks. Either way, it's pretty decent because she already has decent elite stats, and attacks the closest enemy unit with a special barrage every 5 main guns. Okay, well, depending on how good that barrage is, we don't actually have a look at what that barrage looks like, so this could potentially actually be a good ship. This looks like a fairly decent elite ship here. I mean, anything that's going to be for a min-maxing account, probably not, but definitely going to be very usable, I think, across most fleets. Next, we have the aircraft carrier Bearn. Finally, an aircraft carrier for the French faction. Kind of sad she's elite. She's medium armor. Her stats they leave much to be desired. Those efficiencies are, oh, wait a second. She can actually equip a main gun. So kind of like a Zeppy thing. Although I think Zeppy has dive bombers on that slot instead of torpedo bombers. Either way, her efficiencies are decent, but her stats are kind of bad. Kind of an interesting mechanic being able to equip a gun. So let's see what her skills are. When the secondary slot is equipped with a gun, you increase the efficiency to 45%. So that brings up to 100%. Okay, that's decent. Increases the weapon's range to 80. That's pretty decent. Fires a barrage every 24 seconds. That's a little slow. When it's equipped with a dive bomber, decrease the first airstrike load time by 50%. That's actually pretty good, but she's just not that very powerful a ship. So even though she can strike early, it's not going to matter very much. Okay, after this, we have 5 seconds after an airstrike is ready, trigger a torpedo and a plane barrage max 3 times per battle. Well, that's probably going to scale on damage based on the level of the skill, but we don't really know how good this is going to be. My guess is that is not going to be relevant enough to mitigate the fact that she has pretty bad stats. Unfortunately, this is probably not the aircraft carrier that the French wanted. So last but not least, or actually maybe least, is Vaculine. She is a destroyer, elite destroyer. In my opinion, the cutest ship out of the bunch. But like all French destroyers, she's completely terrible stats-wise. So let's see if a skill works. So all of her class ships gain 15% torpedo and evasion. So that includes herself and Tartu? So 2 bad ships. Tartu only boosts cruisers too, so that's even worse. That's weird, so they don't even have synergy, kind of. Self boosts firepower, anti-air, accuracy by 12% for the first 30 seconds of the battle. So she boosts herself a little bit. This ship's just bad, unfortunately. I was hoping she would be good, but she's just bad. So there you have it, guys. Those are all the ships. Those are my first initial thoughts. I'm looking at this completely blind. I just got access to this, started recording, and thought I'd get this out to you guys for who you want to see it. If you guys do want to see what these are, you can join my Discord server. I will have the data mine linked so you guys can look at it for yourself there. Otherwise, that's that. Thank you guys for watching. I hope you enjoyed this type of video. If you did enjoy this type of video, I haven't done any of this type of video before, really, of this sort of data mining thing. If you do enjoy this type of video, let me know in the comments and definitely like the video. Subscribe if you want more content about Azur Lane, specifically endgame content, and take care.